Hello and welcome to the afternoon session here at Actsafe Safety Conference. The session that we're about to enjoy is called Self-Care for the Win. Safety begins with you, literally. And the session is kindly sponsored by AESC Local 168. AESC is the union behind entertainment. Local 168 is focused on beautiful Vancouver Island in British Columbia, and they represent craftspeople, technicians, and front of house people in the entertainment industry. My name's Will Heller, and I'm a performing arts and live event safety advisor here at Actsafe Safety Association. Thank you all for coming. Before we start this session, I'd like to first acknowledge the traditional Indigenous lands that we all live on and gather on today. Although this meeting is being held online, we still each enjoy the pleasure of living within an Indigenous territory. To highlight the importance of this acknowledgement, I would like to urge you following this session to visit the Native Land Digital website and search the territory on which you are located. That website is www.native-land.ca. This session is presented by Reggie Hubbard. Reggie is a certified yoga and meditation teacher and founder and chief serving officer of Active Peace Yoga. He confessed to me earlier that he prefers being recognized as a yoga teacher in disguise. Reggie's taught members of Congress, congressional staff, major labor unions, also leading progressive organizations and individuals from many walks of life. He provides simple tools for managing stress and bringing peace to your mind, body, and spirit. If you have questions for Reggie, please use the Q&A function, which is located in the top right corner of your screen, and I'll keep an eye on them and raise them to Reggie over time when it's appropriate. Be sure also to vote up those questions you're interested in. Reggie is a self-care ninja with surprising moves. Without further delay, let me welcome your speaker for this session, Reggie Hubbard.
Will, thank you for the sterling introduction. I appreciate that. And for those of you, wherever you are in the world, just put it in the chat. So I'm an organizer. So I have an affinity for the labor movement because I'm an organizer. So I need to know where my people are, right? So if you could put in the chat where you are, let's make this a little bit more interactive because like we're all in this together. So if you want to put in the chat where you are, I would love to know. Vancouver's in the house. Appreciate that. I'm in Colorado, Toronto. Love it. Cool. BC in the house. A lot of Vancouver. Nova Scotia. Been there. Love it. Cool. So thank you for sharing where you are because I think it's important for context. And I also love the fact that you all came because like we named it Self-Care for the Win because you probably wouldn't come if it said yoga. Let's just be 1,000% honest with that, right? And part of the reason that I teach is because I want you to look at me, right? So I'm about 2 meters tall. I've had a few beers in my day. So for me, these are about practical tools that we can use in our lives to have a better quality of life, right? So like, who wouldn't be down with that? And just a little bit of background about how I ended up before you today. I am the resident mindful expert for the International IA out of New York City. And I have been able to talk to folks in the union about how taking care of yourself is the first aspect of workplace safety. Right? So if you're mentally distracted or you haven't created opportunities to clear your energy or clear your vibe, it impacts your work, right? It impacts your mental focus. And so what I want to do today is for about 35 minutes, show you some simple tools and techniques. Then we'll have question and answer. And I promise you, this will be unlike any session that you've ever been to in your entire life. Scout's honor. So what I want you to do is I'm seated in a chair right now. So if you're in a chair, I want you to assume the position that you normally take for hours at a time. So it's something like this, right? My question to you first is, does this look healthy? Does this look vibrant? Like you can't even take a deep breath. I mean, the joke I commonly say is the only people that should look, right, Michael, the only people that should look like this are the undead or people from Michael Jackson's Thriller video from 10,000 years ago, right? So what I want us to do is first things first, release all of that. So upright spine and give yourself the gift of shoulder shrugs. For those of you that want to be a little sassier, you can take one then the other. It just depends on how alluring you want to be, right? So if you want to be plain Jane, that's cool. You want to be like Beyonce, that's cool too. But just give yourself a combination of opening the shoulders because they sit for hours like this. This is crazy. This is not. Pause when ready. Notice how you feel. Notice if just those shoulder shrugs, if that's created space in the upper chest, that's the point. So now take hands together. So we usually have our hands like this, hands together, interlock the fingers together. Gift of wrist circles. So this is reminding the wrists that they could go in 360 degrees. For those of you that have carpal tunnel, this may be of benefit to you because we're literally stretching and maneuvering the carpal tunnel. Switching, going the opposite direction. So for those of you that use your hands a lot, whether it be typing or texting or gripping or all the things, release, shake that out. Now, hands together, fingers together. Let's have a little bit of fun. So we work the shoulders, we work the wrists. Now explore the connection between the shoulders and the wrists, right? So a little pop lock, never hurt anybody. I'm a child of the 80s, so breakdancing is kind of how I get down. Yeah, it's normally here popping. That's synovial fluid, right? So the wrists have like a native fluid like that lubricates them. So the popping is just like, thank you for, that's like wrist language of saying, thank you for remembering that I can do this. So pause and then take it in the way that's less intuitive without judgment. So everyone did their awesome side. So if you're uncoordinated like me, no shade. Release, shake it out. So crisscross the arms. Last pose with the fingers. So hands together, fingers together, press out. Inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, down and press out. So up on the inhale, down on the exhale. So really getting into the upper back. Feel free to exhale out the mouth. Everyone's muted except for me. So if you need to be kind of buck wild and go for it. Totally understandable. Earth's crazy right now. Next time fingers are out, keep them pressed out, 4 breaths. Deep inhale into the back. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Last, in. Exhale. Release the fingers. And if I were to ask you how much money you wanted in increments of 10 million, so what I just did is I snuck a finger stretch on you. So now take those liberated fingers and massage your beautiful face. So get on the cheeks, temples, forehead, behind the ears. You thought we were just working the upper back. See, gotcha. We're working the fingers as well. Ten more seconds, taking this wherever you feel like you need to, but think of how much stress you carry in the face and how that stress leads to a quality of thought that is usually, let's just say, not pleasant. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Palms down, shoulders relaxed, face soft, pause. Notice how the body feels. How do the fingers feel? How does the chest feel? Do you feel a little bit of vibrancy? This is what we can feel this way, right? That was only 5 minutes. right? So think about how, if you feel, yeah, well, exactly, right? So like not only deep breath, but the alignment. We've got space in the shoulders. We can take a deep breath because we're not like this. We've created all this space. So let's take 4 deep breaths together. Deep inhale through the nose, all the way into the belly. Exhale out the mouth. Deep inhale through the nose. Full exhale out the mouth. Twice more. Deep inhale. Full exhale. Last, deep in. Full X. Now pause and just notice how you feel from tip of finger through the chest up. Notice how the neck is probably like, so the neck doesn't have to raise its voice. Take chin to chest, please. Then take right ear to right shoulder, left ear to left shoulder for about 10 seconds. And just notice how this gentle movement is creating space on the neck. Next time, right ears towards right shoulder, keep it there. Take right fingers outside of left temple, and then with left arm, raise left arm up and down. You'll soon notice like some movement is awesome, some movement the next like, whoa. So when you find a nice tight spot, keep it there. Open and close the left hand, so keep the hand soft. 4 breaths here. Deep in through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Deep inhale. Exhale 2. Deep inhale. And 3. Last, deep in. Full X. Release the temple, chin to center, pause. And just notice how you feel. How do the wrists feel? How do the fingers feel? How does the neck feel, right? Being aware of how you feel is a key to well-being. Noticing what you have to give and then respecting those boundaries as opposed to grinding it out. Enough of that, it's crazy. Left ear to left shoulder, left fingers outside of right temple, right arm out to the side. And then up and down, back and forth, see what the neck is saying to you. Keep right hand soft. Then when you find your spot, linger. 4 clearing breaths. Deep in through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Deep inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 3. Last, deep inhale. Exhale 4, right arm down, release the right temple, chin to center. Then inhale, chin level. Exhale, relax. Notice how you feel. We haven't left the chair. So if it doesn't kill your vibe, put in the chat how that little sequence made you feel, right? We'll stand up in a minute, but just notice how quickly and easily you achieved a little bit of peace while sitting down. Thanks, Jennifer. Perfect. Absolutely, Michael. Perfect. So now what I want us to do is stand up. So standing up, we're not going to stay standing for too long. Have some support on the right-hand side for now. And as best you can, with a strong right leg, take left leg back and forth. We don't do anything with our legs and wonder why they give us trouble. So 2 or 3 more of these. Then pause, and then as if everyone were in dance class, take left leg out to the side. Try and keep the foot soft. Use your support. For those of you that don't need support, stop showing off. Use the chair. Pause. Now, bend left leg, and if you can, reach back and grab left ankle. If you can't, then just keep it at the first stage. 3 breaths here, stretching the quadricep. For those who want to balance, you can make it a balance. Inhale, exhale 1. Inhale, exhale 2. Inhale, exhale 3, release. Give the left leg any organic movement. Then let's hop sides. So supports on the left side. Right hand on right hip. I mean, you can tell SAS is kind of how I get down. So strong left leg, right leg back and forth. So we're using our quadriceps here, our hamstrings. For those of you that stand on your feet all day, this is a great thing to get blood in the legs moving. Then out to the side. Two or three more times. Then bend right knee and keep it there. Or if you can, grab right ankle. Stretching the quadricep. 3 breaths in through the nose. Exhale, clear. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Last inhale. Exhale, 3. Release whatever organic movement comes out. Take it. Now,
we have just had someone ask how you might adapt some of these exercises to a wheelchair user.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that next. I'll take a seated position and go through all of that next. So now, take arms down, and you can do the seated or standing. Inhale all the way up, reach up, find length in the spine. Exhale, arms down. Inhale up, arms down. Last 2, inhale, arms up and down. Last 1, inhale up and stay with arms in the sky. So reach as high as you can. Maybe you take one shoulder then the other, but just try and find length in the side body. Arms down. Back to the seat, please. So from the chair, pause. Notice how we feel. Notice how the stretching of the side body allows us to have a little bit more length in the spine. So think of like, if we spend hours like this, how delightful it feels to be like this. Now, from your chair, take left forearm on left leg. Inhale, right arm up. Exhale, find a side bend. So keep the right hand loose and more opening on the side body than normal. 3 breaths. Inhale. Exhale, 1. Inhale. And 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Come to center. Right forearm on right leg. Inhale, left arm to the sky. Exhale, side bend. Keeping left hand soft. And notice how that gives you a little bit more length. Even a millimeter matters in the left side body. Inhale, come up. Exhale, left arm down. Tall spine, open chest. Notice what you notice. Eyes soft or closed, your call. The name of this series or this webinar, this session is called Self-Care for the Win. Notice how you feel now, and imagine if you encountered your day from this place of spaciousness, deep breath, clear mind. What traffic? Yeah, my boss sucks, so what? You know what I mean? Like, it just gives you a little buffer from getting agitated, because the second our mind becomes distracted, that can be super dangerous, right? So noticing how you feel here. Last sequence in the chair, and then we'll open it up for questions. So from the chair, if you're able to, if not, then keep focus on side bending and maybe a little bit of twist. But if you're able to, take your left ankle on the right knee and hang out. If this is not accessible, straighten the leg, because what we're seeking is to get into the outer hip. And whether or not you're able to do this, take your fists and massage your legs. Three breaths here. Inhale, exhale 1. Inhale, exhale 2. Inhale, exhale 3. Release. For those that took the foot, pause. In the pause, take arms up, keep that length in the spine. Twist to the right. Gentle twist, working out the erector muscles of the spine. 3 breaths here. Inhale, exhale 1. Inhale, exhale 2. Last inhale, exhale 3, release the twist. Take arms wide, give yourself a shimmy, because this is always fun. Keep it loose. You can't be a ninja if you don't have fun. Let's take that on the other side. So, other ankle on the knee if you can. If you cannot, that's cool. If this is inaccessible, straighten the leg. For those for whom they cannot do this, find a twist. For those of us who have our legs, we're massaging the legs, outsides of the hips. 3 clearing breaths. Inhale, exhale 1. Inhale, exhale 2. Last inhale, exhale 3. Please release gently. Arms are up on the inhale. Exhale, twist left. Doesn't have to be too crazy, but just enough that allows you to potentially look over left shoulder. 3 clearing breaths. In through the nose. Exhale, clear. Inhale. Exhale, clear. Last in. Exhale, clear. Release to center. Now find a tall spine. Shoulders down, proud chest. Soften the gaze or close the eyes, whichever is more comfortable and accessible to you. And just notice how you feel. This is a mostly seated sequence designed to bring alignment to mind, body, and breath, and clear stress, increase peace. If you feel even a little bit better, like I said, imagine encountering the world from this place as opposed to, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like we heard you the first time. And for 30 seconds, nothing longer than that, simply breathe in through the nose, exhale out the nose, and be grounded in the sense, the feeling that you have now. As we conclude and then open it up for interaction, bring palms together, rub the palms, create a little bit of friction, and place them over the eyes. So massage the eyes, give gratitude for the eyes that we look at, spreadsheets, plots, everything. Give the eyes a little bit more TLC. Then as you're ready, deep inhale, exhale, lower the hands down. Welcome back. And let's chop it up, Will. What's going on, Bubba?
Hey, yeah, thank you for that. That was awesome. So we did see a couple of questions come through the Q&A, and I'm just going to do my best for them. But if I don't get them right, by all means, just make a request. We'll invite you up on stage, and you can pose the question yourself. That would be awesome, too. So the first question that I see there is this a sequence that would be recommended to start a shift with, or
Absolutely.
are these more like things to do throughout the day?
It could be either or. I mean, it depends on like the time that you have available to you, right? So I can imagine doing this at the beginning and end of a shift, right? So at the beginning of a shift, like, let me get my mind right, let me make sure I got space, whatever. And then depending on what the job is, especially like I've held like booms forever, you know what I mean? So like if you do this for hours, that's where this stuff comes to play, right? So all this is a good antidote for that, right? So it can be to prepare you. And then the main design of the sequence is to bring you back in balance, right? So instead of like being the undead, being the alive and the awoke, right?
Great. Yeah, I think that's answered that question. Actually, speaking of it as a sequence, I did notice there was a question about accessibility and everybody's varied abilities, and I just wondered if you had comments for people in different kind of levels of ability and where they're at.
Well, ability can also be, you can be quote unquote fully able-bodied and still super tight, right? So that what I did, the reason that most of the sequence was seated was with accessibility in mind, whether it be physical ability or just I don't have a lot of time, right? You know what I mean? So like ability and accessibility. So if I came and was like, okay, everybody, let's do headstand because headstand is designed to clear the mind. People be like, what are you talking about, man? Like, so, but all we did was this. And we think about the hours that we spend compressed. And then think about the impact that has on your nervous system. And if your nervous system is already compressed and tight, one little thing will piss you off. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're all spacious and been breathing deep and you're like, woo, right? And someone says something crazy to you, all you can do, you can be like this. I disagree. All right. Right? As opposed to being like, can you believe this? Blah, blah, blah. Right? So that's what I mean by when I say self-care for the win, it begins with you, is because you doing these things brings you in balance and alignment and sharper mentally, more aware physically. And that's not only safety in terms of the job site, but safety in terms of like traffic, your lived experience, because if you're distracted, it's easy to make mistakes.
I can totally get on what you're saying as well, because it's kind of being the best person that you can be. This is the person you want to be when you get home from work, not just when you're on your way into work, because we all bring something home with us. So that's fantastic there. There were also questions about breathing, and is there a big difference between in through the nose and out through the mouth, or pauses and seconds? Because that was definitely something I felt that I was trying to keep up with you on.
Right. So it is better for our nervous system to breathe in through the nose, because think about it. Like if you've ever run like a sprint race or those sorts of things, when you're exhausted, you're like, right? So that brings the nervous system alert. Nervous system is like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Whereas like if you breathe in through the nose, like the body's like, okay. And then exhaling out the nose or the mouth is depending on what you're going for. So exhaling out the mouth is usually the clear space or like a loud sigh or, you know, what I've done in meetings before, because I used to work on Capitol Hill, United States, right? So in the heart of the lunacy of the past 5 years of the American political experiment. And so like what we would do is like deep inhale, exhale, ha, you know, just like let it go, because what are we doing, right? Like let it go, because if you don't release energy, if you don't release stress, it toxifies, right? So like if you don't create the space in the body or space through the breath, like it toxifies in the body, right? So you get tense because there's a biochemical reaction to stress that if we don't create opportunities for it to release, it stays. So it's okay sometimes, I mean, especially like if you've had a long shift or whatever, like deep inhale, exhale, oh Lord, I'm happy that's over. You know what I mean? Just to let it go, because if you keep it in, that just like that makes your resting state that much more enhanced by stress.
Great. Yeah. And I agree. I think the breathing was the first thing that kind of made me know that what we were doing was having an impact. Just the way that the breath was coming in after the stretch across the chest that you're mentioning a few times.
Right.
I see a few people have asked questions about are there resources that people can access? Like, is there a forum or do you have a YouTube or something where people can follow you through this sequence available? Or is there something we're sharing at the end of the session? I can't remember.
So I will, I'll put my website in here now.
Fantastic.
ActiveSafeYoga.com is how you find me. There are some things on my YouTube channel that I can send to y'all that is basically a repetition of what we just did. It's 25 minutes long, and it's not that dissimilar from what we did, because the sequence that we went through. So I guess I'll just ask everyone, so how accessible was that? I mean, aside from the stuff where we stood, which is part of the reason why I got back down in the chair, like how accessible was that? And not only how accessible was it, like, did you feel a tangible impact through its simplicity? Right, so like, please let me know. Right.
From my perspective, and I don't do a lot of stretching. I try to be proactive, but from my perspective, I found some of it was easier for me to do than others. But
yeah,
I think that I have to recognize that it's not the amount of flexibility I'm trying to change. It's that my body enjoys the stretch wherever that might be.
Absolutely. Right, and because the one thing that happens and can tend to happen in these sorts of things is that like, oh my goodness, like I'm not doing enough. You know what? Sometimes, some days, this is enough. You're not going to have, not every day is going to be like, yeah. Like some days it's just going to be like, all right, man, so maybe I'll massage here, blah, blah, blah. You know, because our bodies, by virtue of the fact, especially those of us like who have done or do like physical labor, because I've been in these mountains like for the past 3 weeks, my lungs have been like this for a while, right? They're just like, yo, calm down. So we have to get our bodies into a sense of like balance, and then we can expand. Like you can't be like, oh my goodness, like how come you're so tight? Because you probably never done it before, number one. But number two is that, like I said, even creating a millimeter of space in the body, think about what that does for the mind. Think about what that does for the capacity for breath. All of those things in unison yield peace.
Absolutely. And actually, kind of along the same lines, people were curious what got you really excited on taking this kind of conversation out to the rest of the people who may not have heard it from this kind of, from this messaging.
Right. Sarah, thank you for the compliment on the sass. I appreciate that. Like so this is kind of a backdoor answer. The patron saint of my teaching practice is Prince. Right. So for me, it's about creating new things. It's about creating opportunities for expression, exactly, for individual, but also collectively. Right. So the reason that we have little dancing stuff, the reason that we have this sassy stuff is because the reason that we don't work out is because we think it's boring and time consuming and awful. Right. I'm sure you smiled once or twice when you were doing something. So if we can make this light and accessible, and remind ourselves that it can be this simple. Yeah, playfulness is exactly the thing. So how did I get involved? Well, number one, the reason why I teach is because there aren't that many people who look like me. So it's not even about race. Like, I'm a huge guy, you know what I mean? So I'm like 6'2", 260 in American parlance. So what's that, like 2 meters? Like, so I'm a big dude. And I didn't see a place for me in the wellness space, right? So I didn't see a place for me in the wellness space. And as all of the exercises that I did impacted my mind, lowered my blood pressure, like I had a spot here, you can see the remnants. This used to be stress-induced eczema, so it was clear white. Because I lowered my blood pressure, because I got more aware of what I was doing, either through stress or through lack of hydration and those sorts of things, I was able to completely change my biochemistry through these basic things. And so the other thing that I have is a gift of like making the inaccessible accessible, right? So like the fact that I've taught AESC folks in the international, an electrician brother was just like, I did not know that shoulder shrugs and deep breath, that I've been carrying all this stress, right? So when I hear regular working people feel the benefits of these practices, which tend to be exclusionary, right? So either it's too expensive or I can't get to a studio or all these other things. Like to some extent, I feel like I'm democratizing this and giving real people real solutions, because you don't need me to tell you Earth is crazy right now. And so anything that we can do that simplifies our ability to process stress is a blessing. And if I can be one of the ways that that happens, that's even cooler. Because, but you know, Will, the first thing is like, I didn't see myself represented. And the second thing, which is probably the most hilarious, I started practicing yoga to not curse out my boss. It wasn't, I'm going to be enlightened. I was like, if I don't do something, I'm going to be like straight Baltimore and call this person a mother, you know, and it was right there. And I was like, that's a career limiting move, even if I'm right, even if I'm justified, like I can't go out like that. And so I started practicing yoga and meditation. And the short end of the story is that the job was so clearly it wasn't a union job. Like I got fired via text message 10 months later and didn't curse them out, right? So they fired me via text message, left me high and dry. And what I said was, thank you for how poorly you treated me, because you gave me wisdom to deal with adversity with grace. And then I called my mom and was like, this yoga thing changed my life because I just got fired via text message and thanked them. Like what is happening? Right. So that's how I got started. I got started to not curse out my boss. And it has become this thing that has allowed me to serve people globally that aren't really impacted by the wellness industry. Because everyone needs this piece. Everyone needs this alignment, not just people in Lululemon pants.
Yeah, and that's so funny that you mention that, because I've actually, you know, I feel that kind of intimidation when I look at people participating in a yoga class on a TV commercial or whatever.
Yeah.
It is very much, it feels like it's only really suitable for a smaller part of the population. So it's great that you can get that into the hands of more people. And actually, there's interest in the questions here. They're saying, you know, there's things, and it's along the same lines as stress, I think, but people are talking about migraines, and they were wondering if you had any particular tips that might go for headache management and things like that.
So one thing, again, and I'm speaking to this as a wellness practitioner, not as a physician, right? So like I would always say, consult your physician. I kind of have to say that. But like the other thing I would say is that like the reason that we did all this stuff in the face is because, think about it. If you, I'm all in your face now, like, huh, like, but think about it. If you're like this for hours and days, right? Think about all the stress. So it doesn't take much for that to like set off a headache or whatever. So regularly seeking to discharge stress in the face and, you know, behind the ears and the temples, like whatever your trigger points are, regularly seeking to discharge that, coupled with deep breath, signals to some extent that the body can relax, right? Like the body, we often are always like, gotta go. So the nervous system doesn't know what to do. So if we create conditions where we turn the nervous system down, it creates conditions for healing.
That's fantastic, and kind of we are work based. Everybody's got work to go to, and so one of the questions that we've seen as it's kind of two different questions. One of them is, have you worked particularly with film crews before? And the other kind of B part to that question is, have you found organizations that support doing this on a daily or a regular basis for their workers?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. I have worked with film crews before because one of the things that I used to be a stagehand, right? So like I understand like picking up decks for like I understand like the impact. I mean, because look at me, I'm huge, right? So of course, Reggie, carry this. That's kind of been a natural thing in the course of my life. So I understand what it means to like alleviate stress in the back. Because if your back is tight or like loose or weak, that's a poor quality of life. So that's another reason why I like to talk to like crews or like folks who do a lot of physical labor, because like you put out so much. What we did in the course of our practice is like basically reconstitute ourselves with basic anatomical alignment in space, right? So like the balance to this is this, the balance to this is this, right? So doing that balance creates a better quality of life. So I have worked with specific folks and I'm open to it. So like, if you feel the need to like invite me to your folks, holler at me. I'm cool with that.
That's fantastic. And I think there's a couple of other individual body parts people have talked about. Legs and feet particularly came up, and being a stage, a lot of that's on your feet too. So can you just kind of touch?
So one thing I'll show something quick about the feet, right? So two things about the feet. One, what we can do. So the thing that we did here, where you have like the ankle on the knee, you can just take the fist and completely massage the sole of the foot. So you can you can take fingers and as if you're reading a book, like up and through. Because especially like I've been there before, you've been on your feet for 10 to 12 hours a day, they bark, right? So like creating conditions to re-stimulate nerve endings is one. Or another thing, and this is amazing. I recommend this to everyone, whether your feet hurt or not, if you're able to, is this.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
Because what that does, it reorients the feet to a different interpretation of gravity. And so if you do the massage thing and legs up in the sky, you can do legs up a wall, legs up a bed. If you do that, especially if you're on your feet all the time, 10 minutes afterwards, you're welcome in advance.
You've mentioned a couple of times actually about, end of the workday, and it's a long workday. Is right before going to bed a part of that routine maybe for you at some times? Does it help with fatigue, I guess is where I'm going?
Yeah, what I just did, right? So like a foot massage. So basically, and it's hard to do, but before you go to sleep, try and remember the postures that you had all day, and then do gentle things to bring it back into balance, right? So like if you've been like this all day, be like this, right? If you've been like this all day, be like this. If you've had your neck out like a giraffe all day, bring it back, right? So that's why this thing matters, right? Or this. And when we did that, remember I said keep the hands soft because all that stress travels. Right. So it's basically creating basic conditions to bring balance to the body. And the only thing that I will say is if you do what I just did with your feet in the air, like don't get pissed at yourself when you fall asleep on the floor. Right. Right. So if you do that, like have yourself wrapped up because you may knock out, which is cool because like you have brought your body to a state of peace, though, where the body's just like, yeah. Right. So think about the healing that takes place when we're in that state of peace.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. It looks like the chat's gone a little bit quiet. Were there any other kind of major points that you wanted to send across? It's never too late to start, obviously. I like I say, I'm pretty new at this. I'm 40 plus. And
Well, I'll say that. So it's funny that you say that. Nice, Sarah. I appreciate that. I didn't start practicing yoga till I turned 40. I mean, I think that's another thing important that I want to share with our family here is that, like, I turned 47 last October, so I've only been doing this for 7 years. But, like, what better time to start than now, right? So, like, what better time to start to reintroduce balance into the body than now? And it only takes a little bit, right? It only takes a little bit. And a little bit goes a long way. So for those of you for whom you may not have a lot of time, or you perceive that you don't have a lot of time, that's why it's broken down like I did. So 5 minutes here, break, 5 minutes here, break, to make it more accessible for those of us. I don't know if I have time. You don't have time to feel this amazing. I beg to differ.
yeah, I think that's a really great point. And actually, the accessibility of what you're doing is really good. I can see some of it happening if I was in transport working behind a wheel of a truck. I can still see the steering wheel and stretch my back and things like that.
Yeah.
No, right? Like
Yep.
sometimes the environment around us will lend to those types of things. So yeah, if there are any other questions from the group here, we're happy to take them on. Or oh, I see another
There's
one.
a few more that have dropped in the Q&A.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the resources. Reggie's got a link that he's gonna drop or did drop. Organizations, you're presumably you're working with more and more organizations, because I can see this catching on like wildfire. Because when an organization understands that their people are happier, their people are more creative, and their people are more productive, which I can see very easily from doing these sorts of activities proactively. When they see the value in that, more organizations will keep taking you on, I'm sure. Do you have any other suggested podcasts or something like that that you follow that you might like to share?
Well, I'm on the board of directors for this thing called the Accessible Yoga Association, and so it's important because it talks about yoga from the aspect of inclusion. So identity, ability, all the things, right? So like if you're looking for practical information, so accessibleyogassociation.org has always got good resources. And I can think of some things afterwards and send them to you, Will, so you can like send them to conference attendees. And if anyone has any questions, like I'm not like most teachers, like I'm a real human being that does this to help real human beings, right? So like if you have a question, I'm only an email away, right? Like if you have a question about you individually or your group or ways that this can be of service to you, like it is an honor for me to teach real people, like I said before, because like these practices are this simple. I'm not a former dancer wearing tight pants talking about, and then extend towards infinity. That shit drives me crazy. So like what I am is like a human being that wants all of us to have a better quality of life. And again, going back to the title, like, can you see where the title comes from, right? Like like safety begins with you literally. If you feel good in the body, clear in the mind, that makes for a safer workplace. That makes for a better family environment, right? There are all of these things that we carry with us that if we don't find means of discharging them, they linger. And as they linger, that just creates more problems for us physically, relationally, spiritually, or whatever, depending on how you care to look at it. So if y'all don't have any questions, what I want to do is, we've talked a lot about the body and the breath. I want to talk about the mind, right? So I have here a singing bowl. This bowl is about 400 years old. And I'm going to play it a few times. And if you have earbuds, you may want to put them in, because like I have this really amazing microphone here. I mean, I'm with the entertainment industry. I can't have crappy sound and poor lighting, right? You know what I mean? Like, I know my audience. Like, if we're all in the entertainment industry, I gotta have. It's a Shure XTU. Right. And so to be kind of nerdy about sound, it renders really well through the online interface. But yeah, Andrea, I would love that. So what I'm going to do, y'all, is I encourage you to find whatever posture makes you feel alive and relaxed. So you can be upright, you can even slouch, but if you slouch, do so mindfully, right? And what I want to do is we'll have deeper breath to begin with. then I'll play the bowl like 20 times or so. And what I want you to consider is how much noise we have in our lives, right? Whether it be traffic or blowing horns or the incessant, like, pessimistic news coverage, all the things. I know Canada's been, like, America's been going through like a half decade of stupidity. I know, like, there's an unjustified war, like there are all these things happening in the world. So the noise gets to our brain. But the one thing that the brain loves is pure sound. So that there's a reason why a good song can take you out of the body, right? So what I'm going to do is play this bowl. This bowl, like I said, is 350 years old. And first of all, like, I always imagine, like, what if this bowl could talk, right? You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, before I came into your ensemble, Reggie, blah, blah, blah. So if you, as you listen to it, listen to the wisdom of 3.5 centuries, right? So the problems that we face now in the context of 3.5 centuries are somewhat insignificant. So, like, be blessed by the longevity of this bowl, and then hear the sound and feel how it impacts the mind, right? So, like, if the mind is used to, like, for those of you, I don't know if it's on this much in Canada, but there's this stupid Taco Bell commercial out in the States right now. There's this boom, and then, like, they stop what they're doing and they head to Taco Bell. Imagine the purity of this sound, silencing what doesn't matter and getting you in tune with what does matter. All right. So find a posture that allows you to feel relaxed and dignified. Shoulders relaxed, maybe shrug them again if bad habits have crept in. Eyes soft or closed, depending on your comfort level. Noticing how close the piece that we co-created was and is. 3 breaths as we reestablish connection to it. Deep in through the nose. Exhale out the nose. Deep full inhale. Exhale out the nose. Deep inhale. Exhale out the mouth. Now I'll play this bowl 15 times and just notice how the impact of the sound has on the mind. I'll stop at 10. Notice how 30 seconds of pure sound from the ancient bowl has probably, your mind is like, what? Right? So pausing in this piece of mind, seeking to connect it to peace and body through the basic exercises that we shared. Let's find 30 seconds of breath on our own. Then we will conclude, and I'll bow before you with gratitude. On the inhale, feel peace in the body. On the exhale, feel peace in the mind. Bottom of the next exhale, slowly bring palms together, create friction in the palms. And one last time, because we can never do this enough, place palms over the eyes and massage the eyes with gratitude for sight, for the ability to connect, and for one another. Open the eyes into the palms, deep inhale. Exhale out the mouth, release palms down. what I got. So I want to know in the chat, for those of you, if you didn't fall asleep, how'd the bowl sound? Like, how did that impact you? Like, how'd that impact the mind? Right on. Yeah, Michael, the mic is really good. Hillary, that's a great reflection. And Jen, exactly. Thoughtless. So yeah, the mind is just kind of like, whatever. Right? It's like, boom, okay, yeah, that's right. Because that pure vibration is the native tongue of the mind, right? The brain speaks in waves. And so pure waves are like, if you're a native French speaker, you've been in the States for a while and you come back to Paris, it's like hearing French again, Parisian French. And so like we hear all this, and so when the brain hears boom, it's like, yeah, right, that is irrelevant. Whatever, right? So save dissociation, but thoughtlessness in a way that kind of dismisses worry and just keeps you present. Stephanie, exactly. So cool. So this is my email if anyone wants it or has need of it. That's my website. Will, if you have any reflections, I'll receive them. Or if anyone else has any questions, I'm here. I just want to know, how do you feel? So especially for my skeptics out there, for those of you who are like, I don't know what this is about, but I'm gonna try it anyway. How do you feel? Because like, I go after y'all, you know. I used to be the king of skeptics. Like if you had told me 7 years ago, Reggie, you'll be teaching yoga, I would have been like, I don't do drugs, so neither should you. Right? But it goes to show you that you just never know all the places you'll go. And how simple was this, right? So with that, Will, I'll leave it back to you.
Great, yeah, and thanks very much, Reggie. I came out of here with a couple of things on a personal level that I'll just kind of hash on, and one of them that really stood out to me was actually rubbing my palms and massaging my eyes, and it never even occurred to me, or at least around my face as much. Yoga in my mind is always the things I can't do, so you've opened the door to things that I can do. So thank you so much for that.
For sure.
I can tell by the way that our audience is interacting that they were playing along as you were going through the video, and I know that they're very interested in learning some more, as you can see by the reach out and things like that. We're very thankful for your coming by. The session was fantastic. We're about to head into a break that's sponsored by Set Protect. Reggie has made himself available through his email and his website there as well. Or also, I think through Actsafe, you might be able to find some other resources related to this session as they go up as well. So it might be a preview. It might be some of the other notes and things we discussed. Thank you all very much for coming to the session. We hope to see you in the next one. Thank you. Special thanks to Reggie for coming by and giving us some of that knowledge and sharing that with us and sharing the time. Much appreciated.
And thank you again, everyone. Just a note, the joys of live events, our final 2 sessions will actually be in Zoom. I've dropped it in the chat and I will drop it again when we are out of here. You are welcome to go back to the main lobby and talk to people in the meantime, but you will not be watching your last 2 in Remo. Check out the 2 Zoom links. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrea.
Andrea, Will, thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
See you soon.